Hey guys, Dom Kane here for Sonic Academy. I've put together 10 tech tips for you. In this series I'm going to be using Bitwig, for the most part at least. However, I'm going to try and keep these tips kind of relevant to any workstation that you use, so hopefully they're not going to be specific to Bitwig. This is the first one, and it is using the ability to fold the keyboard, which I know you can do in Ableton. I'm pretty sure you can do it in Logic, and I think that probably covers most of us, to be honest, but I'm fairly sure you can do it in most workstations these days. We all know that if you, for example, put a clip together and you've got all the keys in piano roll here, and if I press, I know in Ableton it's a button called fold, but if I press this, it'll basically just fold the piano roll down to only the notes that have an active note in there. So what this is for is, well, it's designed for things like when you've got drum machines and whatever and you just want to see the available slots. What I'm going to use it for is for your basic music theory noobs like me. So when it comes to music theory and you want to create some chords or play around with a melody and you want it to be in a certain scale, let's say, for example, you've been sent a vocal and you know it's in D minor, and you're sat there going, oh God, what notes are in D minor? So this is exactly the time you want to be using something like this. The only thing you need to learn beforehand is the scales of A minor and C major. And the reason I'm telling you those two scales is because they only use the white notes. So, for example, the scale of A minor will use all the white notes from A, like this. I can't quite see it on my screen. There we go. And it's just the white notes. So that is the scale of A minor. And if I was to do exactly the same but starting on C, again it's just the white notes. And there we go, and that is the scale of C major. Now notice, because of these gaps between the black and white notes are not identical, it does matter which note you start. If you're starting on C, it's going to be a major scale. If you're starting on A, it's going to be a minor scale. So you need to bear that in mind. And proof of that, if I move them up together, you can see that they're now totally different. So we've got our minor scale here and our major scale here. I'll just get rid of the major scale for now. So now we've got A minor. And I said at the beginning of this that we wanted to work with D minor. So all we need to do is move it to D. And now we've got the scale of D minor. And if, for example, I copy this up an octave as well. Now we've got 2 octaves within the scale of D minor. And I can press this fold button. And now it means in my loop, and bearing in mind I've put these outside of the active loop as well. It's sometimes better if you leave a bit of a gap there as well, because that can be annoying if you're exporting MIDI files, or sometimes if the loop isn't 100% perfect, then it tends to play those duff notes over there. So yeah, so I tend to just leave a little bit of a gap between the beginning of the loop and where you place the notes, and then it means I can start putting in some random notes anywhere I want, and I know that it's going to be inside the scale of D minor. And then if I wanted to, for example, I mean, they're probably going to sound a little bit rubbish, but and it just means I can start playing around with notes anywhere along here, I can just start throwing notes in, and I know they're going to be at least in scale. Obviously, if you have two notes right next to each other, they're going to sound a bit duff, so it's not a perfect solution, but it just means that, like I say, in the example I said earlier on, if you get sent a vocal and you know it's in D minor, then you can just instantly start playing around with notes in D minor, and you don't have to worry too much about falling outside of the scale. And yeah, I think that's one of the first sort of tips I tend to recommend people. Certainly in electronic dance music, you know, we're not classically trained musicians, or most of us aren't. And yeah, so this is kind of a cheat sheet way of doing it. And then, like I say, once you're in that minor scale, if you wanted to transpose it, just highlight all the notes, and let's say we wanted to go to B minor, then there we go, now it's in B minor. And exactly the same for the major, so long as you start on C and do all the white notes, then it'll be a major scale, and then so long as you start on A and do all the white notes, then it'll be a minor scale. And that's my first tip for you. Cheers.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.